Right, beautiful. Well, everybody, welcome, Florida. It is day 6 of our 90-day run, Florida. So proud of everyone and all the activity that everyone's put in so far. Hope you all had a great close to the end of the month, guys. As you know, yesterday was the deadline for several things, but most importantly, guys, I hope that everyone was able to achieve Performance Club so you could stay Jamaica qualified, guys. That was one of the main requirements to make sure that you start qualifying for that Jamaica trip. If you're on a team challenge, if you are just planning on qualifying over the 8-month period, this month was a crucial month because you needed to get qualified, guys. So listen, I'm excited. Haven't seen the final numbers for the month, but I know there was a lot of excitement. I know there was a lot of personal movement. Heck, I had one young lady on my team, Miss Liz Matos. She sold 5 plans and had one brand new recruit yesterday, all within a 5-hour span, guys. So anything is possible if you put your mind to it. You put a plan in place and you work the plan, you will have success, guys. So just a couple of mentions here before we get our guest speaker on today, ladies and gents. Listen, this whole mission of this 90-day run is to get everybody laser focused on 3 activities. Part of our 10 core commitments. Number 1, 2 exposures a day. Right? We're going 2-1-1, guys. 2 exposures a day every single day. And then 1 weekly meeting every single week. You attend 1 meeting and then 1 Super Saturday every month. This is the recipe for massive success, guys. If you stick to it, if you continue to have that no excuse mentality and work the plan. So real quick, I want to give everyone a heads up. They did change the link for the communication show that happens on the beginning of every month. It has changed to LegalShieldAssociate.com/show. Now, I also posted you all should have received the communication from the home office. If you didn't, get a screenshot of this at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central Time. We have an amazing show lined up that you and your teams got to make sure that you plug into and not miss the incredible messages that are going to be delivered today. Again, that is 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 Central, and it is LegalShieldAssociate.com. You want to make sure that you're on that. And then last but not least, where'd you go? Here we go. You all should have received an email with a WhatsApp invitation to the we created a WhatsApp group specifically for this group here. So you should have received an email. If you did, click on the link, accept the invitation, get in our WhatsApp group. I'm going to be posting reminders, highlights from calls like today with Mr. Corey Muhammad. I'll post a couple of highlights in there. So it's just going to be a great tool for everyone to communicate, but of course, to get those reminders, the replay links, and the highlights so that we can keep you guys all connected as best possible, right? Just make sure you click on that. Also, forward this email to your teams. Make sure you get your teams on board, guys. It's good for you to grow, but it's even better if you get your teams on here, right? So without any further ado, guys, I'm going to step out of the way, and I'm going to invite our guest speaker to come in and absolutely bless us this morning. This gentleman is an amazing individual. He's a $150,000 income earner. He is a network vice president for the Carolinas, guys. He's just an outstanding individual, a good friend of mine, and he agreed to be on with us to bless us today. Give us a couple of nuggets to help us move along this journey here on day 6 on our 90-day run. So without any further ado, I'd like to bring in our guest speaker, Mr. Corey Muhammad. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate that, Daniel. Hope all is well, everyone, after another great month, a great close. And most importantly, closing not just to the end of the month, but closing through the end of the month, which means a lot of us probably had some folks that for whatever reason, they wasn't ready to get started on yesterday. But we wake up this morning with appointments already on the books, appointments, calendars, all that kind of good stuff, ready to go into August with an incredible amount of momentum, as well as just checking out and seeing what corporate has for us or what home office has for us, rather announcements, incentives. But while we're on that, just real quick, whatever announcements, incentives, here's what I can guarantee. I don't know what they are yet. Sometimes we may get advance notice as MVPs, but I don't know what they are yet. But here's what I do know. I haven't seen one yet that didn't have something to do with recruiting and marketing membership. So they always going to have something to do with recruiting and marketing membership. So if we've got a certain MO, a certain method of operation going, then whatever it is that they'll announce, promotion, it just promotes the right activity, which is the basics that we're already doing anyway. So for the few moments, hey, look, just come on and share something really quickly here. 90-day run. Congratulations, Florida Associates, for being on a 90-day run, for making that decision to grow your business. I just look over the past and all the different times that we've been a part of a 90-day run, or have seen others in my group that was part of 90-day run, and what it can do when done properly, the synergy from it, the correct activity from it, the increased activity, the plugging in, but most importantly, at the end of it, being able to look around and see what new potential leadership is there to be able to work with. Has always been just incredible. So 2 a day, let me talk about that real briefly, because guess what? We got a call like this going on too in the Carolinas and Georgia that we've been doing for a little while. We call it the Morning Momentum Zoom. So let me go ahead and get started. Well, if we're watching TV, and I don't watch a lot of it, but I see it sometimes. We see a commercial on, and we see a commercial from McDonald's or Burger King. Some of us might have different eating choices other than that, but whatever, we see a commercial from. We know they're advertising, because let's face it, everybody that we're talking to, those that we're going to recruit, money only comes from one place that I'm aware of, unless it comes from somewhere else that I'm not aware of. It comes from people. People got the money, whether we're investing, whether we're doing whatever, it comes from people. And so they run commercials so they can get the attention of people. And so when I look at these 2 exposures today, look at, we've been given something. As a matter of fact, Brian Carruthers, the current #1 income earning in the company, he had something out some time ago called the 2 a day phenomenon. Because a lot of times when you look at this business, what does it break down to? Sometimes it can be a little mystifying. How do I build this? But you know what it boils down to? I love the slide that Daniel just had up, because it boils down to what we do daily. And a lot of times when I'll train it like stair steps. And so I'm not going to do that today, but training the stair steps, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, and then the annual type deal. But getting back to these 2 exposures a day, every business needs people. So our business is no different. So when we talk about these exposures, it kind of reminds me of, man, I can think about this and I can think about that. I can think about all these other different things to do. But when it boils down to it, what daily am I focused on? Now, quite honestly, 2 exposures a day may not turn a person into executive director right away, but it puts us on a path of certain activities. Some of us may have 2 or more we're doing, but the song we want to sing loud from the treetops is 2 exposures a day. So I want to come at this just a little bit differently, and just want to share with us, as I review my last month, and I haven't had a chance really to do that yet. We were closing pretty late last night. But here's what I can tell you is that the areas that didn't go as well, it's always the same thing. It's the lack of exposure, and so not just the follow-up, because for this follow-up, of course, there's the exposure there. So I wanted to just share with us, if we go back and just review, look at last month. What was our GPA? What's our GPA for this month? Many of us got children in school. Maybe some of us are in school. Maybe some of us taking higher education. And GPA always, for me, when we talk about GPA, we talk about goals. That's the G part of what is the goal? Hey, what is the goal going into this month right now? Hey, what is the plan? What was the goal for last month? See, the goal we're talking about right now was just a minimum of 2 or more exposures a day. So there's a GPA, goal, plan, action / accountability. That's the A. So goal, plan, action / accountability. But here's what I wanted to share with us. Recently, we went bowling, and I took my grandson. Man, that sounds funny saying grandson, but my children are older now, so my grandson. And so trying to bowl that ball, first of all, the ball was a little heavy, but they'd have a smaller ball for him. But then they did something. They put these guard rails up. And they put them guardrails up because if not, I'm sure every one of those balls would have went in the gutter, and it probably wouldn't have been he might have lost some confidence before he even really got started. Like, man, every one of my balls going in the gutter. I don't understand the game all the way, but I do know that the balls ain't supposed to go in the gutter. So anyway, these guardrails right here, they put them in so that he can roll them down. And before it hits the gutter, hits the little rubber padding, hits that guardrail, or the other side hits the guardrail, and by hitting it, it bounces and it causes it to go down. And even if it only knocked down 1 pin, he was excited about that 1 pin, and then 2 pins, and then got a little more of a hang of it, then more than that. And so what the 2 exposures a day, again, and I just brief touch and training today, the 2 exposures to me kind of helps perform a guardrail in our business in terms of activity. So yeah, we hear about the personal development, which in taking another step, leadership development. A lot of times we talk about personal development, but then leadership development. And so it goes back to something that Don Thompson said. He talked about how he and Darnell Self was at a meeting with John Maxwell. Some of the top folks. It was kind of like a semi-private meeting, wasn't that large of a meeting, But anyway, he was there and he said that John Maxwell said the hardest person to lead, because since he's the leadership guru, known as the leadership guru. And so he was saying the hardest person to lead is ourselves. So here's a little saying, everyone: leader of one or leader of many. If we can't lead one, then we can't lead any. Again, leader of one or leader of many. If we can't lead one, then we can't lead any. And so what is that meaning? So leading ourselves to be focused on that 2 or more exposures a day. Nothing earth-shattering here, but that little small activity, it's amazing the habit that turns into. I see one of the up-and-coming 6-figure ring earners, my friend and business partner, Jonathan Garrick here, and I see others on the Zoom, some of you that I know, some of you I don't know, but here's what I can share with everyone. When we boil it down, and I brought that name up to just say this, and for the others that are focused on that, if we don't believe it, just try it. Try for 30 days. Well, actually, this month has 31 days. August, September, both of them got 31 back to back. So 30 days, if nothing else. Let's just don't say, okay, I'm gonna commit to 2 exposures a day for the rest of my life until I'm forever. No, that's kind of big. That might be hard to imagine all of that right now, but can we commit for this month of August? Come heck, come high water, we'll focus on our 2 or more exposures, at least in this month. And if that's too much, how about this week? It's the first of the month, perfect time to be able to do it. And you all are already in the midst of a 90-day run. So perfect time to do it. Commit this week, and then we can we'll build on that. Remember when our business ain't going right, remember the guardrails? And so if I can start, because there's been some times in my business, I wanted to complain about this or complain about that. And if I went back to the guardrails, I noticed that if I had those guardrails of 2 exposures a day and I bounced everything and I focused on that, I noticed it at least allowed the ball to go down the middle, and it would pick up momentum and grow as I got better at how to throw it. But I had to have my guardrails up, and the guardrails in our business helps protect us to stay profitable, and at least in activity mode, is those 2 or more exposures. Without that, everyone is just inconsistent, to whatever it is, whether it's working out, whether it's eating right or whatever. So just wanted to share with us the fact that that's my take so much on 2 exposures a day. Now, last thing I'll share about that though, is sometimes new people, and those of us that's on the Zoom, we're building teams, and many of us are building. You know what the beautiful part of all of this is that really exposures, before we can expose, we actually get better at the skill of prospecting, or some say contacting and inviting. I want you to leave you with this thought right here. If our 2 a day isn't going like we wanted to go, here's one thing we just focused on. How do I give a better invitation? Because I've never done an exposure that didn't involve an invitation to somebody to look at something. In other words, wasn't just an exposure that just happened. See, the exposure, before the exposure done, there's something that happened. If I called Jonathan or David Hauser, or anyone, and I said, hey, look, we work together. Let's say we friends, and if I'm going to expose them, warm market or in-cold market, doesn't matter. But if I'm going to expose them, before there was an exposure, there was an invitation. Unless I just spam David or Jonathan and just sent them something, and that probably is not going to give me very much, very much traction at all. So if I had a conversation, there was an invitation involved. I leave us with this for the newer associates. Those of us been around a little bit more, we got to learn a few more things. But for the newer associates, or those of us that's really relying on third party, because the invitation to an exposure is third party, that's really what we get better at. Remember, we become professional inviters, because again, what is prospecting? Prospecting says they open, but then if they open, we're going to get something to them, send something to them. So imagine this, we become really good at an invitation. I got a wedding coming up. Someone sent us an invitation in the mail. They didn't check with us to see if we like weddings. They didn't say if we wanted to come to a wedding. They didn't see it. They just sent us an invitation. And my wife and I are going to go because it's somebody working with this daughter. And there's a lot of graduations. How many of us got invitations to a graduation? What about invitations to a party? Invitations to whatever. And if we could just kind of demess, because sometimes we'll think, man, this is hard. No, get better at the quality of our invitation, AKA scripts. But I like to kind of be natural. We may have certain things that we're going to share all the time, but tell me, we get better at the invitation, because I leave us with saying, we don't have to, if we're going to use the invitation, see, the exposure is going to provide information. That's done by corporate, a 3-minute sizzle, done by one of our leaders that recorded that. We didn't go anywhere to record it. They recorded it for us. So that invitation is what we get better at, because the information in a sizzle call was done by corporate third party. Hey, what about when it's time to do the presentation? For a lot of us, we're using live events or live Zoom. So the presentation, or even the Darnell Self, Liz LaCue, or Brian Carruthers, Jackie Cote, or the Don Tom, or whatever we're using for a 20-minute presentation, that's not done by us, done by corporate. That allows us to scale. But then we do a 3-way call like we learn in all our Fast Start classes. our new associates we're recruiting, guess what they're learning as part of the baseball diamond system? They're learning three-way call, which is validation. And then guess what? They get on something like this or go to some local, go to Super Saturday, and they hear a speaker come in and train, and that training is designed to help produce duplication. So I don't have to really get good at providing the information third party. I don't got to really get good at doing a presentation yet. There will come a time when you need to learn how to present, in my opinion, but I can lean heavily on third party to do the presentation. Guess what? The information, the presentation, three-way call by someone else is the validation. And then the third party training, Super Saturday, Zoom like this or whatever, that helps me produce the duplication. So all I got to really get good at is the invitation. The rest of it is done via third party that I can lean on. It's scalable. But if there's no invitation, it means no exposure. There's an exposure, no business. Hey, look, just wanted to share that with us. Let's decide today, switch it up in our mind. Who are we going to invite to this opportunity that we have? Who are we going to invite more? Who are we going to invite to this membership? Hopefully we're using it, and we want to invite more to hear about it. All right, wanted to give that to us in our 2 exposure day. That adds up crazily in this business when we're willing to do it and do it consistently over and over and over again. So it's one thing to train, one thing to do it. As I listen to my own stuff, I say, hey, take my own advice and make sure that I'm focused on that 2 or more a day as well. Back with you, Daniel. Appreciate it, sir. We got the same type call going on right now, so I'm gonna hop on the Carolinas and Georgia, in Tennessee.
Hey, we appreciate you guys. Let's show them some love, guys. Round of applause for Mr. Cord Muhammad here from the great state of Florida. Thank you, sir. That was hot. That was so good, man. So many nuggets, so much to take away from that, guys. So listen, I hope you got what you needed out of this morning's call. I will have it posted at some point today, the replay. If you haven't joined our WhatsApp group, make sure to check your emails to get the link. I might actually here, let me put it in the group chat here real quick before we close the call for those that need it. And that way we can make sure that everyone stays nice and well connected to everything that we go now. We got some more guest speakers coming up this week, guys. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be sweet. I'm talking about Mr. Will Dadsy's coming down. I'm talking about Mr. Cliff Malloy's coming down. It's going to be an amazing, amazing week, guys. I put the link for the WhatsApp group. Make sure you click on that, copy it, paste it, send it to your team. This is going to be fire, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Don't forget, today, 11 a.m. Eastern time, leadership show, LegalShieldAssociate.com/show. Make sure you get on that, guys. We will see you all tomorrow morning, guys. Take care.